Well, it's been a couple of weeks now that the Russian forces have been focusing specifically on the eastern Ukraine and specifically on that very battle for Severodonetsk. Now, I have to give you some context here. Severodonetsk is a city pre-war, around 100,000 population. It is not a big city itself. But yes, indeed, it's one of those last cities that were under Ukrainian control. Not in Donbas, though, but in Luhansk region. Donbas goes into two regions in Ukraine. This is Donetsk region and Luhansk. In Donetsk, there is more territory that is now under Ukrainian control. But when it comes to Luhansk, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks that Russian forces have been trying to encircle Severodonetsk when they could not encircle bigger chunk of the area in Donbas. Indeed, they have moved on. We're still waiting to hear the details. But this is the battle, and this is the fighting that we have been watching for weeks now, Stefan.
We've heard about a French journalist who has died in the region. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this happened today. We got the confirmation from the authorities in Ukraine, also from France. The evacuation of civilians in Ukraine's Luhansk region was suspended after a French journalist was killed. This was reported first by the regional governor of Luhansk region. This is what we know. He said that the journalist was killed when an armored evacuation vehicle was hit by a Russian shell. The car had been on its way to pick up 10 people. Now, there is footage, there are some pictures of that. They might be disturbing, but the thing is that the car is clearly marked that this is the evacuation car. This car was on the way to evacuate 10 people, and this journalist was on that car covering, telling this story, filming this. This was the Frédéric Leclerc-Imov. He was 32 years old. He was in Ukraine, as President Emmanuel Macron said, to show the reality of the war. And unfortunately, by now, more than 23 journalists have already been killed in Ukraine since the beginning of this invasion.
And final question, what about the military situation in the south?
Now, as you mentioned, when it comes to Melitopol, there was the explosion there. Now, Melitopol is a rather small city in the southeast of Ukraine. This is Zaporizhia region. Most of the region of Zaporizhia is under Russian forces occupation. This is also the city that is rather important on the evacuation road that doesn't operate anymore and didn't really work well from Mariupol. So for the evacuation from Mariupol, that was the way from Mariupol, Berdyansk, Melitopol towards Zaporizhia. Zaporizhia is the center of the region, the big city of up to 1 million people. And Zaporizhia is the only big city in the southeast of Ukraine that is under Ukrainian control, Stefan. So what happened there today was the explosion in the car. We know about two injured people at least. The local mayor, Ivan Fedorov, said that there are two possible reasons for the blast. The first one would be Russian forces trying to kill Ukrainians resisting the occupation of the city. We have seen quite a lot of protests in Melitopol, people walking out, resisting, protesting against Russian invasion there. And the second reason could be Ukrainian secret services trying to kill Russian collaborators. So these are the possible versions of what happened there. But I have to say, when it comes to the south of Ukraine, when it comes to southeast, this is Zaporizhia region, when it comes to south towards Crimea, Kherson region, we have been observing lots of resistance and lots of people resistant, population resistant to Russian occupation there.